Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is Rich from Rich TV Dive. And I hope you guys are having a great morning, great afternoon, great evening, wherever in the world you are. It is a Friday. I hope you guys are ready to have a big weekend. I hope you guys have a great weekend. And I want to talk to you guys about a lot of things today. It's been a crazy week. Obviously, the cannabis sector has been just decimated. Hey, Floor, you're always first. Thank you. I appreciate all your support. Obviously, the cannabis sector has been decimated. Like, I'm going to show you guys something. It's just crazy. Bitcoin's going up, though. That's positive. Gold's going up. That's positive. The markets are red today, though, with the exception of the global Dow. The NASDAQ is down 11 basis points. S&P 500 down 9.98 basis points. Dow Jones down 184 basis points. Oil is down. Gold is up at 1571. They're on the path to 1600. Bitcoin is on the path to 10,000, now at 9,800. And I told you guys, and I've been telling you guys for quite some time now, that the number one Bitcoin stock in the world, I even told you yesterday, is GBTC, and clearly they are climbing. So GBTC is a major, major, major player. Now, I was supposed to have Kieran Sidhu here. We were supposed to do an interview today, but unfortunately he got really busy. He's a busy guy traveling the world, so unfortunately I won't be able to have him on the show. But what we're going to do is we're just going to cover whatever's going on in the marketplace today. Anything that's big, anything newsworthy, anything that's trending that you guys want to talk about, we're going to cover. And there's a lot of good and there's a lot of bad right now. The world is just kind of messed up. I'm not going to lie. So we're living in a crazy world right now, between the coronavirus, what's going on in the cannabis sector, what's happening with President Trump. I mean, things have just been nuts. And you can see here in the cannabis sector, in the marijuana index, down again. United States, down slightly, not so bad. But Canada, yeah, they're taking it on the chin. Who is leading the charge but Aurora Cannabis? The biggest disappointment in the cannabis sector by far is Aurora Cannabis. But it's not just Aurora today. Aurora's down 15%. Canopy growth is down 6%. Tilray is down 6%. Afria down 5%. T-God down 4%. CannTrust down 4%. Hexo down 3%. Fire and Flower down 3%. Kronos Group down 3%. When will this turn around? Honestly, it's almost becoming impossible to figure out, because like when you look at the charts, we are literally at the lowest now that we have been in years. And we're in such a bear market, there's literally no end in sight. It looks to me like the way to go is really the cannabis stocks in America right now. There are some doing well. I'm going to show you one that is. Grow Generation Corp. Grow Generation Corp has actually been killing it. They've been killing it for quite some time, over a year. You could see here they've been as low as $2.58 last February. Now at $5.69. Grow Generation Corp up 8.59%. This is a stock to watch. All the indicators are pointing right up. This is very bullish for GRWG. I'm a big fan of these guys. They've done extremely well. And these are the types of companies that we need to really consider positioning ourselves in. The winners, everybody else, you want to stay away, okay? You want to stay away from the losers because most likely you're going to lose, all right? Now, one company that I like in the U.S. hasn't taken off yet, but I think that they have a potential to do very well is Halo Labs, okay? So they had some news. Halo provides an update to operations in Lesotho, Africa. Halo Labs Inc. on the NEO exchange, Halo on the OTCQX exchange under the symbol AGEEF, and in Germany under the symbol A9KN, is pleased to announce an update to ongoing business operations involving the Bophelo Biosciences and Wellness Limited in Lesotho, Africa. Here's some of the highlights. First harvest of 350 plants expected to be completed by end of February, ahead of schedule. I'm going to be watching this very, very carefully, guys. This is a company that I'm really interested in because they are an extraction stock in America, but they're expanding globally. 1.2 hectare build to include 8 hoop houses and 1 Cravo greenhouse. Extra capacity will allow growing of multiple strains of medicinal cannabis for export. Expected completion by end of Q1. Fully operational, the phase 1 build will house 3 acres of canopy. Plans to expand Bophelo production infrastructure further in H2. Progress continues with EU GACP certification for cannabis growth at Bophelo. Halo anticipates imminent statutory central bank approval in Lesotho and South Africa to close Bophelo transaction. Bophelo update. Halo Chief Operating Officer Andreas Met is currently overseeing the project in Lesotho, Africa, working closely with Bophelo Chairman and Founder Louisa Mojela on site. Met is handling all developments revolving around the site infrastructure and horticulture. Nearing maturity, the initial harvest of 350 plants is estimated to start in 10 days and be completed by the end of February. So this is the news. While that happens, I'm just going to kind of watch some of the stocks that are moving today. I'm really interested in Bitcoin right now. Seems to me that Bitcoin is really bullish. So we're just going to try to watch it here live. And if there's anything that's happening right now live, anything that's blowing up this morning, anything that's flying, please let me know and we will pull it up. You guys want to look at Aurora? You guys want to see the pain and suffering? Let's take a look at Aurora Cannabis. Aurora Cannabis down 15.76% at $2.25. Just getting obliterated. And if you guys were watching Rich TV Live yesterday, you saw that I live streamed the conference call. It was just a clown show. I was one of the worst conference calls I've ever heard in my life. I was so disgusted, so disappointed in the fact that they're only going to do 62 to 66 million in revenue. I'm just dumbfounded by it. I don't understand how your revenue goes down like theirs is when you are clearly selling in more stores than you were months ago, but yet your revenue is going down. Something's not right with Aurora. The stock is going down, and the shorters are having a field day. Matt Vieno says, sold Aurora last night. Probably a good idea. You know, unless you're shorting the stock, you're not going to make money on it right now short term because there's just so much negative pressure, so much negative news, so much negative sentiment. Everybody's going to hate on Aurora right now, from the shareholders to the shorters. Everybody's going to have something to say, mostly negative about Aurora, because that conference call sucked. It was a debacle. A couple guys sitting there talking about how they're going to turn this ship around, and both of them sounded very unconfident. Like, guys, Aurora Cannabis, do you want this to turn around? Call me. We can help you turn this around. What you guys are doing is a disservice to all your shareholders. It's absolutely disgusting to recognize that Aurora Cannabis is down 80% in 1 year. 80% in 1 year. And you call yourself the largest and the best cannabis company in the world? How can you actually do that? One of the biggest disappointments in the cannabis sector in the last 12 months. That's what you should call yourself. I've gotten to the point where I start to realize that in this cannabis sector, because especially in Canada, none of these companies can make any money. The only way they can make money is by selling stock. So what's happening is they're using us, the shareholders, to sell stock. We go in, we buy these stocks because we're enthusiasts, and what they do is they sell stock into our buying. They issue stock to employees, officers, directors, consultants, lawyers, anyone and everyone. And we sit there and we buy the stock in the open market and they dump it into us. This is what's going on in the cannabis sector. Just think about it. If you got 440 companies and only 10 of them are making money, then 430 companies have no choice but to sell stock to pay their bills. They got no choice but to sell stock to survive. So guess what they're going to do? They're going to sell stock. And we're sitting there like a bunch of puppets buying their stock while they sell it. This sector has become the worst sector for investors in the last 12 months. A graveyard for investors in the last 12 months. Now, will it change? I hope so. Will it get better? I believe so. But it looks as though there's a serious attempt to eliminate a large amount of these companies. For whatever reason, and I don't know why, and I don't know who made this decision, but Health Canada is not opening up stores fast enough. Everybody's blaming Health Canada. Nobody's looking at themselves. My question to Aurora Cannabis is this. You guys boast that you're in 25 countries. How do you do $62 to $66 million in sales in 25 countries? Are you doing like $1 million in sales in each country? What's the use of even being in that country? Just to say that you're in that country? If you're not even doing substantial sales in that country, doesn't it cost you more money to fly out to that country, to deal with problems in that country, to do business in that country, than it does to actually be in that country? If you're not making any money there, why are you there? How are you doing $62 to $60 million, $62 to $66 million in sales per quarter in 25 countries? That doesn't add up to me. Something's not right. Kieran was unable to make it. I apologize. Kieran told me he was unable to make it this morning. We were scheduled to do a call, but he was just busy and he was unable to make it. So I'm live on my own, unfortunately. I apologize. I can't speak for why he's not available. I can only tell you that he got busy and he was unavailable. But as you can see, I'm suited up and I was ready. I'm ready. I'm always ready. Your boy's here. But unfortunately, Kieran will not be joining me this morning. So, at the end of the day, we need to look at the entire markets. We need to diversify. Clearly, the cannabis sector is not what we thought it was. Jim Cramer was right. Jim Cramer said the cannabis sector is not what he thought it was. He was right. It's not anything close. Now let's talk about Halo. Bophelo and Halo have also launched the Phase 1 expansion comprising 8 hoop houses and 1 Cravo greenhouse to grow multiple strains of potential medicinal cannabis exports from Lesotho. Halo expects to complete the 1.2 hectare build by the end March and anticipates harvesting half an acre of canopy from it in 2020. At full utilization, Phase 1 houses 3 acres of total canopy, or approximately 120,000 square feet. The company plans to put additional infrastructure into production to expand the canopy by year end. Met comments from Lesotho on the projects. We've started to roll out infrastructure that will enable us to deliver flower and biomass for oil production to international markets by July 1st, 2020. Presently, we are sourcing materials required for the build-out and readying the site for the Cravo greenhouse, including site prep, IT infrastructure, and more. We are building an experienced team to execute on Bophelo and Halo's plan to export medicinal cannabis from Lesotho. Met's team on site includes Roderick Teague, a seasoned agricultural project manager from the blueberry and tobacco industries. Teague has overseen large-scale agricultural projects of up to 120 hectares that produced several metric tons of yield in countries such as Zimbabwe, Zambia, Mozambique, and South Africa. Additionally, the team is comprised of professionals from the coffee industry with experience in international agricultural business. Recently, Halo announced commencement for formal European Union Good Agricultural and Collection Practices EU GACP certification for growing medical cannabis in Lesotho that can be distributed to the United Kingdom. Utilizing Pharma Consulta, Halo will meet all regulation standards to receive EU GACP certificates for Bophelo operations for medicinal plants as published by the European Medicines Agency and World Health Organization. Pharma Consulta will also provide full audits on the agricultural and cultivation sites, implement a quality control system compliant with EU GACP standards, while also providing full training to staff. Upon receipt of the EU GACP certification, Halo anticipates utilizing CanMart Limited, a holder of wholesale distribution and special cannabis licenses in the United Kingdom, to import cannabis-based products for medicinal use, CBPMs, into the UK. There are over 1.4 million people using CBPMs in the UK, with a market expected to surpass 3 billion by 2024. Halo is in the process of acquiring CanMart to gain a foothold in the UK. The UK is expected to be the start of Halo's plan to gain more distribution channels into European markets. I love what they're doing. Africa, America, Europe. Do you guys see what these guys are doing? Currently, the company is reviewing opportunities in Malta, Israel, and beyond. Halo anticipates garnering statutory central bank approvals in Lesotho and South Africa imminently, and following the final closing of the Bophelo acquisition. Additionally, Louisa, Mojela, the founder and chairman of Wiphold Finance, a $250 million private equity fund, is leading active discussions with multiple commercial banks throughout the African region. This institutional and non-dilutive financing would be among the first of its kind in cannabis and would be used to further construction and build out, as well as provide working capital for the company. Kieran Sidhu, Halo CEO and co-founder, comments, "We are excited to be finalizing the acquisition of Bophelo. Since initially announcing the partnership in December of 2018, our position has evolved to the anticipated acquisition of the company. The promise that the Kingdom of Lesotho offers in the cannabis industry and appointing Louisa Mojela to a Halo chairman places the company in a strong position for global expansion." I love this. You want to talk about an early stage company that is growing globally? How about Halo Labs? Halo is a global extraction company, and I love extraction stocks. Take a look at the Valence Company. Take a look at Metafarm Labs, two of the biggest winners in 2019. Halo is a global cannabis extraction company that develops and manufactures quality cannabis oils and concentrates, which are the fastest growing segment in the cannabis industry. Halo is a global leader in cannabis oil and concentrates, having produced over 4.5 million grams of oil and concentrates since inception. The company has expertise across all major cannabis manufacturing processes, leveraging a variety of proprietary processes and products. What do you guys think of this news? This is big news. I've been so busy I wasn't able to even look at this news. It is a few days old, but this is big news for Halo Labs. I would have loved to have Kieran on our show to talk about it. Unfortunately, he's really busy, and we are in the middle of a massive bear market in the cannabis sector. You can see the United States index down. Let's take a look at the last year. You can see the United States index is down big. You could see the Canadian index down big. The lowest we have seen in years. Literally the lowest we have seen in years. And today, all the big boys are down. Specifically in Canada. Aurora Cannabis down 15%. Canopy Growth down 6%. Tilray down 6%. Afria down 5%. So I'm not going to sit here and tell you guys it's a buying opportunity. I'm not going to do that. But at the end of the day, we will find a bottom. The question is when. Same thing happened in the cannabis sector has happened into cryptocurrencies. I'm going to show you guys. I'm going to prove it to you guys that this will not last. Mind you, it's a very scary time for investors. I think investors need to be very, very cautious right now, in my opinion. to show you guys something. I want to show you guys what happened to cryptocurrencies, because it's actually quite similar, believe it or not. Actually, let's do this. BTC USD. So, Bitcoin obviously is doing well right now, right? But it wasn't always doing well. So, what happened to Bitcoin is it made a crazy run. In 2017, it made a really crazy run all the way to, it got as high as 21,000 per Bitcoin. Then it literally came down from the high of December 2017 all the way down to 3,000 in January of 2019. So for an entire year, it went down, okay? More than a year, for 13 months it went down, and then it started to climb. Actually, it stayed down for, it started to climb. Yeah, it went down for 13 months. We're down now 10 months in the cannabis sector. And then it started to climb. It went from 3,000 in February of 2019 to where it is today of 9,780. It went as high as 13,000 in July. And as you could see now here in the last few months, it's been escalating and climbing. I told you in November when it was at 6,000, right around here, that it was going to go up because Bitcoin would be halving. So that's going to be the catalyst. There will be a catalyst in America for the cannabis stocks, and that's the U.S. election. I believe that will be a huge catalyst for the cannabis stocks, specifically in America. And I believe they will rebound, similar to what Bitcoin's done. And just like Bitcoin has exploded up 200% since it hit the bottom of 3,000 a year ago, and now it's at 9,785. It's up 200%. I believe the cannabis sector will do the same. So we've been down for quite some time, 10 months. Bitcoin was down for 13 months before they had their huge explosion. And look at this. Over the last 3 years, every year we've had a huge explosion. 2017, huge explosion. 2018, huge explosion. 2019, huge explosion. Here we are in 2020, and so far, we've been going lower. When will this turn around? That's the million-dollar question. Matt Viano says American Airs Inc. is up 17%. Let's take a look at Wi-Fi. Thank you for sharing, Matt. American Airs, another one that I brought you guys, is up now 17%. A 5G stock that could be a huge winner. Put it on your watch list, put it on your radar, now up 17% on the day. What else is happening today? What else is popping today? What else is doing really well today that we need to talk about? Please let me know. I'm going to show you guys some more disturbing news with AEMD. So AEMD was a stock that I thought had huge potential. It was doing really well. It was on fire. Today got halted. Let's take a look at bar chart. So now it got halted, and it's not good news because it's being halted because apparently let's see if they explain why. So this was a stock that was just flying on the coronavirus news, flying on the coronavirus hype last week, and all of a sudden this week everybody's acting like the coronavirus never happened. It was up 125% in last month, 227% in the last 3 months, and just nonstop. Then today it got halted. And there are fears that it's being halted because of something negative. Let's see if I can find out why. There it is. So unfortunately, this is not good news for AEMD. The SEC suspends trading of Aethlon Medical AEMD due to concerns about information from third-party promoters. Let's see if we can see what is going on here. The Securities and Exchange Commission announced the temporary suspension of trading of the securities of Aethlon Medical of San Diego. The commission temporarily suspends trading in the securities AEMD because of concerns regarding the accuracy and adequacy of information in the marketplace since at least January 22nd, 2020, that appears to be disseminated by third-party promoters that are purportedly not affiliated with AEMD about, among other things, the viabilities of the company's product to treat the coronavirus and questions regarding recent and unusual market activity since at least January 22nd, 2020. AMD is a Nevada corporation based in San Diego, California. Its stock is listed on the NASDAQ under the symbol AMD. The order was entered pursuant to Section 12K of the Exchange Act. The commission cautions broker-dealers, shareholders, and prospective purchasers that they should carefully consider the foregoing information along with all other currently available information. This is not good. So AMD is, based on this news, when that halt comes off, this thing's going down. So if you're looking for a short or you're looking for a put, AEMD is going to be exactly like what happened to Aurora Cannabis. Aurora Cannabis got halted. Bad news, stock goes down. AEMD being suspended by the Securities and Exchange Commission due to the viability of the company's product to treat the coronavirus. Now, I heard that through Zacks Research. I heard about AEMD through Zacks Research, which is one of the largest, I guess, stock platforms in America. And they talked about 4 stocks: AEMD, NNVC, and a couple others, which I talked about live. I literally was just reading Zacks Research decimation of the information on AEMD and 3 other coronavirus potential stocks. Now the SEC is suspending this stock due to the fact that people were saying that it's a coronavirus stock. So I don't know what's going on here, but this is not good. It's pretty crazy time in the stock market right now. The stock market is just nuts. There's all kinds of stuff going on. There's coronavirus scares. There's, the cannabis sector has been very bare. And then there's a lot of good things happening, like the market's been melting up for quite some time. Stocks have been doing quite well. So it's just a big smorgasbord right now in the markets. But the headlines are all over the place. Headlines are all over the place. Here we go. So here's the new news that's being circulated today about the coronavirus. And if you notice, when the market's down, people talk about the coronavirus. When the market's up, nobody talks about the coronavirus. This is what's the headlines on MarketWatch. Look at this. Coronavirus outbreak is a near-term risk to U.S. markets, Fed report says. Of course it is. Obviously. You got people dying. You got people stuck on cruise ships. You got people being quarantined. You got doctors dying in the hospitals that they were treating people in. You got babies getting sick within 30 hours. Of course this is going to affect the whole world. Disney's already pulling out of China, saying they're going to lose $280 million. Starbucks has pulled out 2,000 locations. McDonald's is pulling out of China. We're talking about the largest economy in the world in lockdown. How does this not have a huge impact on the economy? How does this not have a huge impact on the markets? Of course it will. Now, despite this fact, the markets were melting up. I always predicted the markets would melt up, but that was before the coronavirus. I still believe the markets have a chance to continue to melt up because there's just so much manipulation in the market and there's quantitative easing, which means they're just printing money and pumping the markets. But it's nuts because nobody really knows. This is probably the most difficult time as an investor to invest. There's so many variables right now to consider. Yeah, the cannabis stocks are down, but that's the time to buy, right? They're down. But what if they keep going down? Because they just keep going down. Bitcoin's flying, but is now the time to buy? They're up 200%. Do we chase it now? Well, Bitcoin's going to be halving in May 18th, so chances are it's going to go higher, so maybe we should buy it. But it's up so much. Do we want to chase? Probably not. But it just keeps going higher. The market's melting up. Do we buy now? Everything keeps going higher. Do we buy now or do we wait for a dip? And then on top of that, there's this huge elephant in the room. How is the coronavirus going to affect this business? How is the coronavirus going to affect everything? How is the coronavirus going to affect revenue growth? How is the coronavirus going to affect sales? If Apple is doing tons of sales in China and people are not leaving their homes and people are not buying Apple products, that's going to affect Apple. If Tesla is opening up a factory in China and nobody can go to work right now because everything is shut down, that's going to affect Tesla. The question is when? Philip says, what's happening with T-God lately? Still a good player, walk away. Honestly, right now, I think there are so many trash cannabis companies. I would stay away from 99%. There's only a few good ones. There's only a few good ones. One of the near-term risks facing U.S. financial system is a spillover from the coronavirus outbreak, the Federal Reserve said Friday. Fragilities in the corporate and financial sector leave China vulnerable to adverse developments, the Fed said in a Friday report. I don't just think China, I think the whole world. Because of the size of the Chinese economy, significant distress in the Asian giant could spill over into U.S. I believe it will. Not could, it will. And global markets through retrenchment of risk appetite, U.S. dollar, which is up, appreciation and declines in trade and commodity prices, the central bank report said. The recent emergence of the coronavirus could lead to disruptions in China that spill over to other Asian countries and more generally to the rest of the global economy, the Fed said. The police report comes a little over a week after the rate-setting Federal Open Market Committee held benchmark domestic rates in steady at a 1.5% to 1.7% range. However, the Fed Chairman Jerome Powell told reporters last week at a news conference following the bank's update policy statement that the outbreak of the coronavirus would affect the Chinese and global economies. He emphasized that the central bank would be carefully watching developments related to the deadly virus. Other policymakers have been more upbeat in their recent assessment of the potential of the novel infectious disease to hurt domestic expansion. The discussion of the risks to U.S. financial stability was included in the Fed's latest monetary policy report to Congress. Powell will testify about the report to separate House and Senate committees next week, and the report Friday usually comes ahead of that testimony, formerly known as Humphrey Hawkins. In other topics, the Fed highlighted risks surrounding the deteriorating quality of corporate debt. The share of investment-grade debt that is rated in the lowest BBB category, just above levels considered non-investment grade or junk, is near an all-time high, the report said. The concentration of investment grade debt at the lower end of the investment grade spectrum creates the risk that adverse developments such as deterioration in economic activity could lead to a sizable volume of bond downgrades to speculative grade ratings, the Fed report said. The concern is that investors would sell the downgraded bonds rapidly, causing outsized downgrade price pressures. The Fed report also noted the challenge the central bank faces in convincing the public that it is important to return the inflation rate to the central bank 2% annual target. Since the financial crisis, inflation has rarely hit the target. In the town halls with the public conducted through 2019, most participants didn't think inflation running below 2% was a problem, the Fed noted. Fed officials think low inflation is a worrisome sign of malaise in the economy. Left unchecked, this could lead to subpar growth that may not respond to central bank rate cuts alone, similar to the recent economic experience in Japan and Europe. Foreign central banks have had to resort to pushing their benchmark rates into negative territory, and this, at least so far, has yielded fairly unimpressive results, experts say. So we're just all over the place right now. The market's melting up. China's in lockdown. Cannabis stocks are down. Cryptocurrency is up. Bitcoin specifically is up. Bitcoin specifically is up. Gold specifically is up. So there are opportunities in this market, but this market is becoming really, really, really risky. Flor de Oro says, I have an addiction to MJ stocks. Please save me. Well, just think about it this way. Do you want to be addicted to something that is like a abusive relationship? I believe that the cannabis sector is like an abusive relationship. We invest, we lose. We invest, we lose. We invest, we lose. So what are we going to do? We're going to go back and continue to invest? To me, that's an abusive relationship. The reason why we invest is to win. If we put money in the markets and we lose, why would we continue to put our money in that market? That's not how we win. So clearly, it's an abusive relationship. We've been getting abused in the cannabis sector. And as long as we continue to invest, I believe we will continue to get abused. There are some exceptions. There are some stocks that have done quite well. We can look at them, but it's getting more and more difficult. Some of the ones that I really like are all the big ones. IIPR, Innovative Industrial Properties at $92. I brought it to around $70. They're now at $90. Scott's Miracle-Gro, SMG, another big player, the biggest in the cannabis sector, at $122. Great company. GW Pharma, love these guys. FDA approval, changing the world. $126 stock, up 7%. Love these guys. Those are some of the best. Obviously, they're trading higher, but that's where you got to go if you want to win. You got to get away from these penny stocks because they're just getting killed. GTII, another one that has a lot of potential. They're down 3%. I think they look good. C-Web, another one with huge potential. They're down to $8.88. They've been getting slaughtered. I think they go higher. Cureleaf, huge player in America. They've said that they could make up to $1 billion in sales this year. $8.64. I think they can go higher. Trulieve, they've been having some issues with lawsuits, getting shorted, short attacks. $13.55. I think they could go higher. They've got huge potential. So there are some players that I think can go higher, but this is becoming more and more difficult. It's definitely becoming more and more difficult. I mean, as you could see, some of the biggest players in the cannabis sector, specifically Canadian LPs like Canopy Growth, taking it on the chin today, down 6%. Now, some of you are going to say it's a buying opportunity, but, you know, and I believe it is, but man, at what point do we think we need to consider cutting our losses? Or at what point do we just look into another sector and just wait? Because do we really invest to lose or do we invest to win? Because if you're investing and you're losing, you need to think about what are you doing and what you can do differently. If you're investing to win, chances are you're not buying cannabis stocks or you're shorting cannabis stocks, because that's the best way to win in the cannabis sector. You don't necessarily have to short them. You can buy puts, which are a little less risky because you're only going to lose potentially what you invest. With a short, you could lose infinitum, meaning you could lose more than what you have in your account. So shorting is very, very risky. But right now, the shorters are winning. That's how they're making money, is they're shorting. Philip Amaral says, Alifia, any hope? I think everybody has hope, but I think right now the market is very bare, and I don't know what is going to turn it around. I mean, Health Canada was supposed to open up a bunch of stores. I just don't see it happening. So things are just not happening fast enough, and companies are dying, and they're running out of money. So what are they doing? They're printing paper. And what does that do? Creates selling. What does that do? Creates dilution. And what do the stocks do? They go down. And that's kind of where we're at, and it's a bad situation. But there are some exceptions. There's definitely some exceptions. Grow Generation Corp. They're flying right now. They're actually on a full alert. Look at them. Grow Generation Corp is actually on a full alert. They've actually been flying quietly. Over the last month, they've gone from $4 to $5.74. Very quietly. This is a picks and shovels play. This is a company that is supporting the cannabis sector. They don't have any issues with where they do business, government regulations, because they don't actually touch any plants. They provide lighting, they provide soil, they provide supplies for cannabis companies. It's a picks and shovels play, and it's one of the best. That's why they're up 9.54%. And I've been talking about Grow Generation all year. And they've been one of the biggest players all year. I've been talking about them nonstop. And they've been a great winner. But for every Grow Generation Corp, for every one winner, there's literally 50 losers, 40 losers. I can only think of 10 companies that are up in the cannabis sector in the last year. 10. Maybe there's 15. So if you want to buy cannabis stocks, you just have to realize that it's not like what we thought it was a couple years ago, where you could just buy any cannabis stock and you can make money. It's the opposite. 99% of all cannabis stocks have been going down. 99% of all cannabis stocks are losing money. So what they're doing is they're consistently printing stock to pay their accountants, employees, directors, officers, insiders, to cover for lawsuits, to cover for consulting fees, you name it. And we're sitting here like dum-dums buying their paper. And then they're giving that paper away and people are selling it into us. That's what's happened. And this is why I've been telling you guys for quite some time now, for months, to diversify. I'm not telling you need to get out of the cannabis sector completely, but I think it would be a huge mistake to put all your money into cannabis. I think it's important to diversify. And if you want to win, diversifying is the only way to do it, in my opinion. Take a look at GRWG. It's a 100% buy on bar chart and top 1% signal strength. So it has mad momentum right now. GRWG, a company that just quietly just does their job. Quietly just does their job. I'm not suggesting you go and chase it now, but these are guys that are doing well. 4 analysts, I'll give it a strong buy. Grow Generation Corp owns and operates specialty retail, hydroponic, and organic gardening stores. The company carries and sells products which include organic nutrients and soils, advanced lighting technology, and state-of-the-art hydroponic equipment to be used indoors and outdoors. Up 43% in the last month, 49% in the last 3 months, and 124% in the last year. This is a winner. This is what a winner looks like. There isn't too many of those in the cannabis sector. And right now, it just seems as though more and more people are just getting tired of being burnt and they're putting their money elsewhere. And you're starting to see that the liquidity, the amount of money that is going into the cannabis sector is starting to dry up. Pete Ferraro says, Rich, look at Cole, C-O-L-L, flying, bro. All right, we'll take a look. We are live and interactive. If there's anything that is flying that we need to look at, please let me know. Collegium Pharmaceuticals, Inc., up 20%. Thank you, Pete, for the pick. Guys, put COLL on your watch list. Put it on your radar. It is up 20%. Thank you for the pick, buddy. Matt Viano says, Baby has been stable for the last month. Even if the market is melting, I do still believe that company is a winner. Yeah, I believe there's going to be a lot of winners. But we have to think about how the coronavirus in China is going to affect us long term. We have to think that if this virus keeps getting worse and continues to spread, remember, we're in 25 countries, and the number of death keeps growing, and the number of infected keeps growing, we have to consider that. We can't just discard it and pretend like it doesn't exist. We have to think about that and think about, what are we going to do to protect ourselves? What is it that we can do to protect ourselves? Reefer Al Joint, yo, what's up, Reefer? How you doing, brother? Says, yeah, grow generation, lighting, and irrigation equipment is all over the marijuana industry. Ancillary extraction facilities, REITs, MSOs. There are so many ways to play the marijuana sector. We got to play it right. We got to be smart, and we got to play it right. You know, putting your money in cannabis and just leaving it there and hoping it goes up isn't working, clearly. So if you've done what you've always done, you're going to get what you've always got. If you want a different result, you probably got to change something. I've recognized that. You know, I've recognized that with my investments, that if I want my investments to grow, especially in the cannabis sector, I got to look at these companies deeper. I got to do more due diligence. And I got to look at the balance sheet. And if they don't got money on the balance sheet, 99.9% of the time, I shouldn't buy that stock. That's a fact. And a couple years ago, even a year ago, you could have invested in cannabis and made money because everybody was. It was the way to make money. And here we are 10 months later, and it's been a barren wasteland, and shareholders have lost all over the world. It's disheartening. It's disturbing. It's actually frightening. And I feel for everybody, you know, because we invest to win. We invest our hard-earned money, our life savings to win. And this entire sector collapses, and we all go out, and we all lose. So I don't feel good about it. Reefer Aljoin says, I remember being outed because I brought Charlotte's Web to the community first. What do you mean outed? Reefer Aljoin says, Quixleaf pill fast-tracked for approval by the FDA, THC-based pill. What's the symbol, buddy? Reefer Aljoin says, folks continue to say, I don't know what I'm talking about, but I'm the one who brought you guys Kronos too. Well, I mean, I think at this point, there's very few companies that have done well. And even Kronos Group is down tremendously. Canopy is down tremendously. Afria is down tremendously. A lot of stocks are across the board. So there's only a handful of winners in the cannabis sector. So it's very difficult for anyone to brag about what we brought to anybody in the cannabis sector right now because the sector is so bare and everybody is bleeding. But I think it's important as investors that we get better. We protect our money and we invest in only the best and we completely forget the rest. And especially when you're starting to deal with penny stocks, which this entire sector is filled with penny stocks, because everybody under $5 is a penny stock. There's 20, 30 cannabis companies that are over $5. Everybody else is under $5. This entire sector now has just become penny stocks. And these companies are desperate. So what are they going to continue to do? Sell paper. It's unfortunate, but it's true. It's the only way they can survive because they're not making money. So what are you going to do? You have a public company. You're not making any money. What are you going to do? Sell paper. Stocks are trading. Retail investors still are buying. Sell paper. And guess who's the people holding the bag? Yours truly. People like us. And that's got to change. This can't continue. Pete Ferraro says Labs is doing horrible now. They are in trouble. Let's look at Labs. Well, Labs, they're having a lawsuit with Hexo. And that's not good for them. They lost revenue. And they've lost momentum. So clearly Labs had a huge run up to $7. Now all the way down to $2.56. Lowest they've been in a really long time. Almost a year. Buying opportunity could be, but right now, TradingView is giving it a strong sell on the technical analysis. So I would wait. If you're interested in buying this stock, I would wait because, man, there's a lot of selling pressure right now. A lot. Which is interesting because we spoke to these guys and we told them to come on our show and they didn't want to. And yet the stock just keeps going lower. I don't know what else to say. I really don't got much to say about it. Reefer Aljoin says Thailand came up with the cure for coronavirus. They're using HIV cocktails to cure the virus in 24 hours. You know what? Where do you hear that? I want to hear that news. I'll break that news because I haven't heard that. I just keep hearing people dying. So if there's a cure, that's news to me because I have yet to hear anyone show me or prove to me that there's a cure. Ryan Hannon says, how about rivers? Are they garbage now? Need to stop the bleeding. Almost bankrupt now. No, I don't think they're garbage, but they're definitely not doing well. Nobody is. Right? There's a few companies, but for the most part, I mean, the cannabis sector is it's just toast. You can see there are some winners. GW Pharma, Kern, TRTC, CVSI, Tilt, Consortium Inc. But other than that, Grow Generation Corp, it's just a bunch of losing. MRMD down 12%. ACB down 16%. Like, this sector's just crushed. Just crushed. And some of these prices are just almost unbelievable. And everyone's trying to predict the bottom. But clearly, nobody's able to predict it properly because it just keeps going lower. It's sad, but it's true. It just keeps going lower. Happy Glass says, this is why I'm in Choom. They sell cannabis and edibles, and they are not paying for giant empty greenhouses. Pete Ferraro says, Karma, they didn't want to come on the show. I'm glad they didn't come on the show. The last thing I need is a company to come on my show and then the stock tanks, because that's exactly what's happened. Labs has just been going straight down. I like Labs. I think these prices are great for a company like them, but we're in a bear market, so who the hell knows at this point? Wi-Fi just keeps going up. Let's pull it up. And if there's anything else that's going up while we're live, please let me know. I will pull it up live. It's true. Look at that. American Airs on the 1-day chart. Just been flying up now 19%. So it looks like American Airs definitely hit the bottom. Good volume, 800,000 shares at 37.5 cents, now up 19%. Gail says it's pretty crappy the way that they treat those people over there with coronavirus and lie to us. It's sad. Very sad. Yeah, no, we know TBP. Yeah, been talking about TBP quite a bit. We know that they're working on getting FDA approval. I like TBP. Steven says Wi-Fi definitely hit the bottom. I hope you're right, man. Who? I hate them? I don't hate TBP. When did I say that? Pete Ferraro says Labs is a good company, but losing revenue is no good. Oh, well, yeah, of course. Absolutely, man. Gail says, watching a movie called The Last Man on Earth, boy, does it hit the topics. It's crazy, right? They're putting all these movies out. Watch Pandemic on Netflix that just came out. It makes you really think about what could happen here with the coronavirus. I don't believe that they're telling us the truth. I believe it's way worse than what they're saying. And I believe that it'll spread to 100 countries before they even find a vaccine. We're already in 25 countries. Reportedly. I believe it's in more. They just don't want to scare people because they don't want people to panic and start not going to work and staying in their homes, which is essentially what's happening in China. They don't want that to happen in the whole rest of the world because then instead of having one of the, if not the biggest economy in the world that is now shut down, you'd have the whole world shut down. And then real economic collapse would happen. So obviously, everyone's trying to avoid that, despite the fact there is an epidemic, a pandemic that is spreading globally. Just think about it. I just reported on a doctor who broke the news of the coronavirus and then died 5 weeks later in the same hospital that he was treating patients in. How scary is that? Just think about that for a second. How scary is that? How scary would it be to be a doctor right now in China? 9 days in a row, Hive is up. Well, it's following the trend of Bitcoin. Hive is following the trend of Bitcoin. Wow, nice move by Hive. Good call. Good call on Hive. Still down a lot from where it was. But, I mean, you could see Hive was at 75 cents last year. Hit a bottom of 8 cents and now up to 29 cents. So congratulations to everyone who took advantage of this move on Hive. Really big move on Hive. VXRT is another stock that is a healthcare technology stock. Some are talking about could be a coronavirus stock. We've been talking about it in our community. They've made a crazy run from 32 cents in December to a high of $1.60 last week. Came back down and now is starting to climb up again at $1.09, up 5%. Matt Viano says, watch Pandemic last month. It's a good show. I just started watching it, man. It's just like concerning. So concerning. So damn concerning. Gail says, yeah, we're at 200,000 people. It's spreading like wildfire. And those are the reports that I'm hearing. You know, the reports that they give us in the mass media are all lies. And then the real numbers are just frightening. They're just frightening. Reefer Aljoin says, Harvest Health is in trouble due to deals that never closed, lawsuits coming, default and bankruptcy cases, folks. And we just keep hearing this over and over and over again throughout the entire cannabis sector. Let's be honest, the cannabis sector stole our money. It is what it is, man. They stole our money. I still believe that there's going to be winners. I still believe there's going to be good companies that are going to come out of this. But 99% of these companies have been nothing other than thieves that have stolen our money. It is what it is. I'm a big enough man to admit it. I recognize it. I've been telling you guys to diversify for months. I told you we're in the middle of a market melt-up. I've been 100% correct. Did I anticipate a coronavirus? No. I don't think anybody could have. 2 weeks ago, I started talking about this. I had no idea this was going to become a pandemic. I had no idea this was going to turn into like an outbreak. I had no idea that this was going to become a global crisis. But it is. All of a sudden, coronavirus stocks started taking off. They're not even coronavirus stocks. They're just vaccine stocks and health stocks. But everybody started calling them coronavirus stocks, including myself. They started to take off. Then all of a sudden, today, AEMD, which was on fire, gets halted. So who the hell knows what's going on? The SEC is suspending them because of promotional activities. Saying that they, falsely claiming that they have a cure for the coronavirus. So obviously nobody has a cure for the coronavirus, because if they had a cure for the coronavirus, people wouldn't be dying. There ain't no cure, guys. If there was a cure, people wouldn't be dying. So there ain't no cure. Let's be honest. There ain't no cure. Don't listen to the lies. Don't listen to the hype. There is no cure. Not yet. Now, looking at some of the big boys, Microsoft, they reported a beat. They're up. Tesla, let's take a look at Tesla. I've been watching them all week. Well, for months, really, but Tesla is at $476. Had an epic run. Had a drop. And it seems as though they're starting to kind of create a floor now at these levels. So, is this a buying opportunity? I don't know. It's very difficult to tell. This is so difficult to trade right now, because you're talking about a stock that has just jumped hundreds of %, flown up from like $178 midsummer all the way to almost 1,000. Now it's come back down a little bit to earth, but it's still really high. So you take a bite out of Tesla at 746, or do you wait for it to go lower? Does it even go lower? That's the $1 million question. Does it even go lower? Since it went down, we saw it go to just under 700, and it came back up to close to 800 again, and now it's come back down, and it's kind of starting to find a floor and trade around this 750 range. So does it go higher from here, or does it go lower? It's the $1 million question. Ryan says, Afria looks good now with the exception of the current stock price. Matt Viano says, we are having a major snowstorm here. I better go outside and start my snowblower. Have a good day, guys, and good luck on investments. Have a great day, Matt. Thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting. Thank you for being a member of the Rich TV Live community. Matt Viano says, New Brunswick, Canada is under snow. Which stock will be profitable on that? It's a good question. I have no idea. I haven't even thought about that. Reefer Aljoint says, if MedMen needs money, their CEOs should sell their houses to raise money. I don't think that they care. Didn't the CEO just resign or get fired? Reefer Aljoint says, if the marijuana sector really wants to make money, then they should free El Chapo. He knows how to turn a profit. What's funny is all the private companies are making a killing right now because they don't have to deal with all the red tape of the regulators and the government. And that's what everybody else is dealing with. So it's an unfair advantage. Health Canada and the FDA have essentially killed the cannabis sector with the red tape. Now, whether they're doing it on purpose remains to be seen. Mind you, companies like Grow Generation Corp are doing well today. Very well. And Grow Generation Corp just keeps going higher. $5.81, up 10.88%. Will this continue? That remains to be seen. Probably not, because I believe it's at an all-time high. No, that's not true. They went as high as $20. Holy moly. They're definitely around the highest they've been in a year. So be careful chasing this. It's got a lot of momentum, but I wouldn't chase something at an all-time high. Be careful. Try to wait for a pullback. The way this thing trades, if it does go back to like 340, 350 range, maybe 4, that might be a time to pick up Grow Generation Corp and then see it run back up. That might be the way to trade this pick. You don't want to get caught holding the bag by chasing a stock at an all-time high, especially in a market like this. Any word on the CGC short report coming out? No. Max says, the SEC lets Andrew Left spread fears, talk shit garbage. Once retail starts making money and shorts lose, they cry wolf. I was looking at AAMD, but never pulled the trigger. SEC are crooked. Yeah, it's funny, right? Who gets hurt in these situations? Who gets hurt in these situations? The shareholders. So you're halting the stock, and the people that get hurt are the shareholders. Cynthia Pena says, still curious about the dirt on Terry Booth. Well, why don't you guys tell me? What have you guys heard are some of the habits of Terry Booth? I'm not going to personally say anything, but you're welcome to say it, and I can read your opinions. That's the beauty of the community. Gail says, I've been very blessed all my life. I've had the time to search and dig all this information since I was a little one. Glad to hear that you're blessed, Gail. And I hope all of you guys are blessed. Pete Ferraro says, Terry Booth and Cam Bately should be ashamed of themselves. They stole money from investors. I don't think that they are. I think that they made a ton of money and they really don't care, because I feel like that's what everybody feels like in this sector. I don't think anybody cares. They only care about themselves, clearly. They don't care about their shareholders. I haven't heard a peep from Cam Bately or Terry Booth about their shareholders. They don't care about shareholders, clearly. Peter Morley says, short report and earnings on CGC will create a sell-off and then a bounce. What short report are you guys talking about? Can you guys share the short report here so I can take a look at it? What CGC short report are you talking about? What short report are you guys talking about? Peter Morley says, Terry and Cam sold people dreams and cashed out. Yep. There's no doubt about that. 100%. 100%. And it just sickens me. Norton LifeLock Inc. NLOK. They are up 14% and flying. Norton LifeLock. Cybersecurity company. NOV. National Oil Well Varco Inc. They're up 11% right now. NOV, ABBV, ABV Inc., ABBV, up 5%. FDX. FedEx Corp having a nice day at $154.99, up 4.28%. Those are some of your winners today. Let's take a look at some of the other big stocks. Let's look at all the FANG stocks. Facebook at $212. Big fan of Facebook. Let's take a look at Disney. Disney's been reporting a $280 million loss due to the coronavirus at $141. Let's take a look at Starbucks. Starbucks, SBUX, they had to pull out 2,000 stores out of China alone. They're up slightly at $86.60. Who else? GBTC, the number one Bitcoin stock in the world. They're up slightly. ETCG. Ethereum stock, the number one Ethereum stock, ETCG, they're up 5% at $15.85. Oh, the rumor is that they're going to be releasing a short report, eh? So, guys, look at doing shorts and look at buying puts on CGC because there's going to be a short report that's going to come out, and they're going to do everything they can to make CGC look like trash so the stocks goes down and they can take advantage and make money. We're starting to see this trend over and over again. Just the fact that they're putting out a short report has already had an impact on the stock. So this is Zacks Equity Research saying Canopy Growth Corporation expected to beat earnings estimates. What to know ahead of the Q3 release. So they're going to be reporting on February 14th, which is next week. The widely known consensus outlook is important in assessing the company's earning picture, but a powerful factor that might influence its near-term stock price is how the actual results compare to these estimates. Zacks consensus estimate. The company is expected to post quarterly loss of 0.36 per share in its upcoming report, which represents a year-over-year change of plus 46.3%. Revenues are expected to be $79.20 million, up 26% from the year-ago quarter. Still not good revenues. What's going on with these companies? Their revenues suck. Earnings whisper. Estimate revisions that have the company's earnings release offer clues to the business conditions for the period whose results are coming out. Our proprietary surprise predicted model, the Zacks Earning ESP, expected surprise prediction, has this insight at its core. The Zacks Earning ESP compares the most accurate estimate to the Zacks consensus estimate for the quarter. The most accurate estimate is the more recent version of the Zacks consensus earning per shares estimate. For Canopy Growth Corporation, the most accurate estimate is higher than the Zacks consensus estimate, suggesting that analysts have recently become bullish on the company's earning prospects. This has resulted in an earnings ESP of 16.33%. On the other hand, the stock currently carries a Zacks rank of number 3. So this combination indicates the Canopy Growth Corporation will most likely beat the consensus EPS estimate, earning per share estimate. Over the last 4 quarters, the company has beaten consensus earning per share estimates just once. Interesting. Let me see something here. Is Zach's research the one that promoted AEMD? Interesting. Very, very interesting. ONCY. So I got this pick from Zach's, and it was one of their. It was ranked number 1. It's now ranked number 2. It's kind of come down a little bit. Yo, what's up, buddy?
Yeah, your show went silent, bro.
My show went silent?
Yeah.
You guys can't hear me?
I called you. Oh, I'm using my phone now, but I couldn't hear you. It just, the volume went so low, it went to like non-existent.
Weird.
Went to, like,
how about now? Can you guys?
Volume or something on the...
Can you guys hear me now?
Check the chat room because I'm off the chat room.
Okay, yeah, I'm just live right now, and we're going through some stuff here. I'm just asking if they can hear me. We'll see.
Yeah, I figure I'll give it some time for somebody to answer back.
So yeah, man, what a crazy situation right now, eh?
Yeah, hopefully, this new short report. Who did the short report come from?
I don't know. I have no idea. I've been hearing about the short report from you guys. I didn't know anything about the short report.
Well, I mean, the good thing is that if there is a short coming in and a report coming in, we've been through this so many times that we're beginning to learn how to play these incidents, because there's still money you can still make money on some day trades, but you have to understand the dynamics of what these shorters are trying to do. And if you can catch the wave, you can make money.
Well, yeah, of course. I mean, when there's negative news, stocks go down. When there's positive news, stocks go up. In the cannabis sector, they've just been going down. So, I mean, it's pretty easy to trade it. Just short them. So if you want to short them, you can make a lot of money. But if you're long in cannabis stocks, you're going to have a tough time winning, because there's only 10, 15 that have gone up over the past year. So it's a very tough way to make money right now, trying to long cannabis stocks.
You've been talking about it for 3 years now. About,
correct,
the different trends of what's going on. And let's not forget that a lot of these LCs, your Canadian guys, they're actually Americans. And just because the incorporation papers are in Canada, these guys actually being in the United States, they can face RICO charges, and they can't make a profit. So to kind of yell at this, at these companies and saying, hey, you guys are robbing us and, you're not making money for us, well, legally they cannot, or they can face federal charges, especially in a multi-state operator. It's I don't understand it, how the FDA can fast track a drug that's marijuana related, but it makes it so complicated for American entities operating here, incorporated in Canada, to show a profit for its shareholders. It's virtually impossible. It's just a conundrum is what it is. But, I mean, whoever got in early, I mean, anybody who got into Aurora under $1, they're still good.
I mean, Aurora in 2017 when I started and it was at $1, it went to 50. It went to 15, and everyone made a killing. Now it's been the other way, right? It's come all the way back down. So, it's been a tough road. I'm not gonna lie. I've had to deal with people telling me from all over the world how much money they've lost, and it actually sickens me. It sickens me. It actually sickens me. So, there's a reason why I've been diversifying, and I've been telling people to diversify. And I've noticed that my channel has grown tremendously since I started to diversify, almost as if YouTube was protecting me from this, because they knew this, that going down this road.
You know exactly what's happening as it's happening, because you live in a live world of constant media and information flux. So you're in that wave. You're like one of those surfers who's out there, before the sun comes up, while the sharks are still out there, knows it's dangerous, but you're still out there because you're passionate. Hey man, it's marijuana. It is what it is. There's a lot of other ways to make money. I sold my palladium.
Yeah, hey, but listen, this is what I've been trying to say. But I was trying to tell people to get out of cannabis stocks months ago, and nobody wanted to listen, and I was right. And I even had members calling me a shorter. Oh, you're shorting the market. You're Andrew Left's little sister. Blah 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 blah. People calling me names, saying that I'm shorting the market because I was telling people to get out of cannabis. I'm like, listen, guys, I want you guys to win. The only reason why I'm telling you to get out of cannabis is because right now the cannabis sector sucks. That's a fact. So you can either sit there and pretend like it's great and lie to yourself and watch your portfolio continue to shrink every day, or you can listen and diversify and win, because while the cannabis sector has been getting decimated, the market has been at all-time highs. So you could have been making a lot of money in the last 10 months buying Tesla, buying Apple, buying a lot of big companies.
Perfect example, Tesla. Okay, the shorters the sharks have their eyes out on Tesla right now. Tesla, they've got their eyes on it. I mean, 1,000 brought it down to nearly tapping close to 600. I told you 680. It almost touched it, but now it's 750.
Yep.
Push 800.
Yeah.
I believe it will go back up to 900, in between 900 and 1,000 easily, because the shorters will manipulate it, and then they will sell. So it's tricky, but like you said, if you get your 10%, take your money and run. You got into Tulsa at 850, and it went hit 935, and you didn't sell? That's like a rookie mistake.
Yep. And I tell people every day, take your 10%. Okay, well, what happens if it goes higher? Move your trailing stop loss up, or your take profit up. So if a stock's up 20%, move your take profit to 15%. If the stock's up 100%, move your take profit to 95%. That way you squeeze the most juice.
You don't have to sell all of it. You don't.
No, but you should. You should. If a stock is up, if a stock is up, sell and take your money. The only reason why we trade is to win. We don't trade to lose. So now you're up and you're not going to trade and you're not going to take your money? What the hell? And then you're down and you're going to sell for a loss? So you're going to sell when you're down and you're not going to sell when you're up? Why the fuck are you trading? Go find a different career. Like, you got to know that this is not a game. You're playing with real money.
You want to grow something? Go buy a freaking plant. You want to go buy a plant. You want to watch it grow to some big giant thing? Buy a fucking plant. Go plant a garden. But this, you gotta take your money and run.
Yep.
You got it. I saw I saw the numbers on my Palladium. I got in at I made 4 purchases between $840 and $860 an ounce. That was with my spot, paying that spot, and that's my premium. I sold for just over 25. I was looking at it like, I told myself one day, if Palladium hit $2,000, I'm going to sell. Then I'm looking at it and I'm listening to you, and I'm saw how everybody, you're constantly watching this, and then when this whole Tesla feed thing, how it dipped like that,
yeah,
it brought a smile to my face, because I sold a chunk of my Palladium.
Nice.
I sold it. It's down. My Palladium is down over $600. If I would have held it, I would have been a loss of $600. So I mean, I can go in there and take everything and buy another half an ounce, buy another quarter of an ounce of palladium, and that's how you do it. It's
take your money and run, bro. Take your money and run.
I believe palladium's going to go up, but it will not go up until you see gold at 1,700, and that's my prediction. If in the near future, within 6 months, gold 1,700, and I say that palladium can easily hit 35, the same way the Dow can easily hit 32,000. Yeah, buddy, we're in a rally.
Of course.
And it may be the last one. China put in what, 1.5 trillion dollars. They just added into the economy. The United States
it's
added
not
another
it's not
1.5
it's not going to be
trillion.
it's not going to be enough.
But
the economic loss of having the largest economy in the world shut down is going to be in the trillions globally. I can't explain to you how big it is when China is shut down. When 2000 Starbucks pulled out. Disney reported 280 million in losses. This is only if they're shut down for till next week. What happens if they're shut down for 6 months? What happens if they're shut down for a year?
You take anybody in your audience, and if they cannot grasp that your perspective, just take a moment and imagine this. Imagine your neighborhood supermarket suddenly empty for 30 days straight.
Yeah.
They're not making any money. Well, that's a whole city shut down. They're actually struggling to find ways to feed their pets.
Yeah.
That's insane.
And people are not thinking about that because they're not living there. So just because you're not living there doesn't mean it's not a problem. And just because you're not being affected doesn't mean that you won't be affected, because it's still very early. There are people, there were doctors. I did a report today. There was a doctor that came out on December 31st.
Yeah, he died.
And he told everyone it was way worse than what they were reporting. And here it is 5 weeks later. Here it is 5 weeks later. He dies in the same hospital that he was treating patients in. How scary is that? That shows me that not only is this terrible, but it kills you fast, quickly.
World Health Organization lost a handful of doctors in that big Ebola epidemic. The first doctors that went on the scene, quite a few of them died. So it's normal. It's normal. Yep. It's normal for a medical professional to get infected. But I know it worries you because you got your eyes on your money. But Rich, pandemic is 50 million dead.
Yep. I believe
is 50 million dead.
I believe 50 million to 100 million dead is coming, bro. I really do.
Oh, yo, dude, they got like 8 people came in sick on a cruise liner.
Oh, I know. It's coming.
United States.
Go on Netflix and watch the series called Pandemic. The last time this happened was in 1918, the Great Spanish Flu virus. 50 to 100 million people died then.
My great grandmother lost her mother and her father to that pandemic at 5 years old.
Exactly. So who's to say that it's not going to happen again? In that series on Netflix, timing is great with that series, by the way. It just makes you wonder if this is man-made, right? In that series, it was announced that when this happened 100 years ago, almost to the day, which is another weird thing, that there was only less than 2 billion people in the world. Now there's almost 8 billion people. So if we lost 50 to 100 million people then, maybe we might lose 300 to 500 million now.
Well, if you take into history the account of the amount of people that died of famine because of the non-production, they were not producing food. A lot of folks died of starvation, and that's what you were talking about. That's happening in the city right now. They're dying of starvation.
Correct.
In the first epidemic, that influenza, that pandemic during World War I, right after World War I. Yeah, it's Yeah, it's real, man. But you got to have your mind on your money and your money on your mind. And Trump is still in office, which means that we got a lot more manipulation coming.
Yep.
Democrats in office will spur a downturn. You guys need to really pay attention as to what's going on with orders for the industry. For example, Caterpillar locomotives and airplanes. Pay attention to those, because when the economy goes into a recession, the first thing to go are services, which means trains, planes, trucks, and things like that. And also, be wary of gasoline under $50 a gallon. Under $50 a gallon, the big oil producers cannot turn a profit. In order to make a 1 cent profit in oil drilling, they need to get $50.01 a barrel. So anything under $50 a barrel is not good for the economy, because it means that the guys on the oil rigs get laid off. So, interesting times.
Reefer, listen, my friend, I really appreciate you calling me. I have to run right now, and my cell's about to die. So let's do this again soon when I have some more time. Thank you for calling, and stay safe.
Make sure you had your show up and going. You had a lot of guys listening. You got to learn sign language, brother. You got to hire some little girl on the side doing with a little circle. You do like sign language, so that way we never have to worry about this again. Peace, brother.
I appreciate you, brother. Thank you so much for joining. Stay safe.
Later.
Stay safe, my friend. And have a great weekend.
Later, chat room.
All right, buddy. Cheers. All right, guys. That's Reefer Al Joint. So the big news, guys, is I really think that Halo Labs is going to be a good long-term play. They are an MSO in America, and they are going to grow on a global scale, and they are in the extraction side of things. I think long-term these guys do well. Bad news is market right now, very red. Okay, overall market's very red. Dow Jones down 195 points, S&P 500 down 10 points, Nasdaq down 16, global Dow up slightly, gold up slightly, oil down. Coronavirus in headlines again. Look at this. I mean, the headlines are coronavirus all over the place. When the market's down, headlines coronavirus. See the trend? 638 deaths. 4 from a Royal Caribbean ship in Bayonne to undergo testing, Foxcan to make surgical masks. This is the news that's going on today. So guys, be careful, be safe, have a great weekend. This is your Late Night Vampire, Rich from Rich TV Live, reporting from Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. Stay safe, everybody. I'm out.